Ain't nothing worse than a smart dumb.
Hey yo! Hey yo! Hey yo! Hey
yo! All right. What's happening, everybody? Another episode of the Smart Dumb Podcast. So today we're going to talk about K-Love and Self-Determined Recovery's competition that occurred on Thursday, November 21st. All right, so very, very dope event. Amazing for the cause and just the energy I was surrounded by. So let's get to it. So K-Love, the poet, based out of Chicago, now resides in Baltimore with her husband. Just an absolute blessing for the rest of us that such an icon of the culture is basically in the area. Just kind of more proof that I'm not really trying to leave Maryland anytime soon. Again, her husband, and I believe it was 2 or 3 gentlemen, run a organization called Self-Determined Recovery, again, also based out of Baltimore. They do some amazing work, just being more kind of frontline in helping Black men with the addiction challenges that they may have. They had just recently, they said that, and at the event, they, and I'm over here like butchering it, but they basically have gained the right for police or just, whatever, to contact them if there's a situation that needs to be de-escalated, because what we've noticed in a drug situation or a mental health situation is we're sending these same cops that really don't know what to do in many situations to de-escalate a situation where it's not as if someone has the negative intentions of being violent. They're just kind of out of body at the moment, and they're not sending somebody qualified, so they're being met with the tasers and the guns and the violence, and it ends up being something that it never had to be. So now this is just one more group that is more qualified, that is able to go and address this type of situation, and so that the incident doesn't turn into violence, doesn't turn into hashtag, so on and so forth. So big news, big move for them, salute to them. So that organization partnered up with K-Love, and they created a competition, a spoken word competition. So what ended up happening is individuals submitted about a minute of their work, just sample what they do, and ended up being like 10 people selected. If I'm not mistaken, 9 were actually performing. And then there were 3 rounds of this competition. Wasn't exactly a slam, but it was similar to it. And it was 3 rounds. The first round was talk about yourself, introduce who you are to the crowd and the judges. The second round was addiction story or a personal story or a revelation or something along those lines. And then finally the third round, which by that time I think we were down to our last 3, was the recovery piece, the motivational, the inspirational type of piece, right? So I submitted mine. I think mine was a snippet of the third round piece. I didn't make it to the third round, so it was a good thing I shared it. So somebody got to hear it, right? But yeah, it was a 1 minute snippet. Really proud of it. Really definitely liked what I came up with. I actually wrote the third round piece first, in addition to that being what I submitted. The other people, I probably only seen 2 or 3 back when it was first submitted, but it ended up being, again, 8 other people. It was another individual that I don't know why they didn't make it, but whatever. I'm assuming it was like the day of something happened. So hopefully all's well, all's good over on that side. But the people that ended up making it and participating in the conversation was LJ the Angel.
Life no longer dormant in the seed, sprout into tree and Eden, with knowledge of good and evil and wisdom to choose between them, every fork in the road resembling branches that we tried.
Jasmine the Problem.
Check the director's cut. They're becoming live out their neck. Don't hide now. I'm just folding like it's 2000. I ain't
Javon Rustin.
Before my poems had a body, they were an empty armor. Skimming over emotions but never diving in, afraid they might sink. I got close to my poems in high school. After finding pretty girls that liked a pretty verse, my poems grew hands and hands only.
Incredible Tut.
Shoulders back. You was shoulder scrap. When nobody held your hand, them emotions, you learn to hold them back and fester. Until the expressions became lesser like, hey, and let me show you what happens to a bomb when it's under pressure. When they push you to the limit, just think of your ancestors.
Black Root.
It's not to make more sense, but it really is what it is. My childhood might not have been the best, but it was better than most. I grew up with some knuckleheads and some intelligent folk. I'm a product of my circumstances and the road that I chose. I could have been a different man, but I'm still here.
Positive. Eminem.
You know the things that make life so grand? Security is big to me, but it always seemed to remain out of reach. So I decided to take control of my destiny and manifest what I speak. Come on! So let me introduce myself. I'm Miss Eminem. Martyr to some, martyr to others. In this space, there's no need to choose.
TP the Poet.
I was so close to shooting dope up in my veins. See, I was spiritually bankrupt, so no longer did I feed my spirit, and my heart was so broken, so conscious thoughts I could not hear it. For he is not a man that he shall lie, so why do I fear it?
And then myself being the ninth person. If I forgot somebody, make sure y'all tell me I ain't shit. I'll correct it later. Blame it on my head, not my heart, right? So what I would say immediately out the gate is I just loved the energy. We all sat, this was out in La Familia Soundstage in Baltimore, the same location where Poetry Party happens every Wednesday, in the same location that Words, Wings, and Wines with Tice happens. Just obviously an amazing, like I just got to shout them out, because clearly when we want to have a poetry event, a spoken word event, this consistently is proving to be an amazing venue for it. They are definitely with the culture. They do more than just that. So again, La Familia Soundstage, I think they allow for recording. I know they have events other than poetry. I know they also host Ravens games and all that. So yeah, big shout out to them. If you're not familiar with them already, check them out. If you have your own event, go see what them rates talking about, and put your event out there too, right? Supporting this black business, especially the ones that are doing what they're supposed to do, for sure. And La Familia Soundstage has been an amazing experience every time I've been there. So we did our thing. We all arrived. Incredible Tut came in from Philly. I don't know if anybody else made a super long trip, but yeah, it was raining that day, if I'm not mistaken. So and with some traffic. So shout out to everybody getting there safely. We were all in the back in a section together, vibing before it was the competition. There was a drummer. There were a couple of artists, like some of the individuals who have recovered and turned that corner are artists in their own right. So singing a guitar.
But you want to make me you tried everything, but you don't do. In my world, only you.
One of the founders apparently raps, so he gave spoken word piece before.
See, the cycle's vicious. That poison your system encourages a lot of decisions and the choices that you make dictate how you live. So, shit, man, so dope just to pick the fan.
So just a room full of talent. And I think that was beautiful. I think that was particularly when you talk about the individuals who recovered and got to go back and live and be who they are. And now, because of a program like this, and also, by the way, that individual's resilience and dedication to turning their life back around in the direction that they want to go, now we're also able to be blessed with their gifts. And that's exactly, this society loves to dismiss black people, period. In this particular case, black men, with whatever the mistake is. But this opportunity lets you see more of the man and an actual human being. Sometimes, again, society forgets that these are human beings as well. So that was just very, very, very amazing. And if nothing else, to be in that space and that energy and get to witness that in person was was an amazing situation, right? So we had all those setups. And then finally, the first person, I do not have the full order, but I do remember that it was TP the Poet that set us off. She was amazing as far as the message and the energy. And then I know I was second. And I was like, why would y'all make me follow that up? Now, to be fair, it was a really, really, really amazing list of people. So it's not like put me after this person, I'll be in a quote unquote better situation. But that was just like, y'all would do me like this. The randomness would do me like this, right? So let's see. I think I'll speak on me and then speak on the situation itself because I didn't go far. So that should be a shorter one. So the first piece I did was an introduction, which is by far probably my least favorite category other than erotic poetry. That's by far my least favorite. But yeah, write about yourself. Like, or more so brag about yourself. Like, that's not my strength at all. So trying to figure out what to do, and then also, I mean, how, what type of information are we sharing in the context of the fact that this is ultimately about recovery and drug addiction and things like that. So ultimately, I ended up sharing a little bit of personal. I alluded to bipolar, but I know I didn't really say it. So I think if I told somebody that's what I was doing, and you come back and listen to lines that's talking about ups and downs, talking about one extreme to the other, maybe that might make a little bit more sense. The thing that separated other artists from myself is how many of them memorized all 3 of their rounds. And as much as I wanted to do that, because I knew that obviously once the memorization happens, then the ability to deliver the gestures, the movement, whatever my version of energy is, we can do that. Unfortunately, I wasn't there, and I wasn't about to come up there and hope for the best. So I ended up reading everything. I feel like I did decent. I gave the best I had that day, right? If I had more prep, it would have been slightly different as far as delivering what I had. And that's all I'm worried about, because I promise you, I wasn't, that was not a night I was going to win. And that's not, downplaying myself. It's the fact that there was really some talent over there. And then also we'll speak on the other reason as well. But yeah, I did my first piece. I was pretty happy with my first piece. I was a 9, an 8, and an 8. I believe the first young lady that went was getting, I don't know if there was a 10 there, but it was 9s. I don't think she got any 8s. And then here I go and I'm 8, 8, 9. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not beating her score, but we'll see how many, what everybody else does. Now, when I was doing my own kind of counting in scores, because I'm big on math, so I'm over here just counting up scores on my downtime, right? And so when I did that math, I'm like, okay, I heard this score and this score didn't beat mine, but I don't feel like I'm part of the 5 highest for the next round, or 6 highest, I don't remember. I think it was 6 went to the next round. However, when the poets were announced that moved on to the second, I was named 5th. And I don't want to say it didn't feel right, but I also, for whatever reason, didn't go out of my way to be like, wait a minute, that don't sound right. I guess I just felt like, okay, they said it was, and it was. And so I think halfway through the second round, they realized that somebody that got, or you know what, I think before the round started, there was a little break between first and second. And I think they realized they had tallied some scores wrong. And so I'm probably at least was one of the people that was incorrectly stated that should have went. So they didn't want to play me, so to speak, because it was their mistake. So they just let me go on and then just get eliminated. So that all worked out, ball don't lie, all that type of stuff. So shout out to the one that was, quote unquote, not disrespectfully, but was snubbed and ended up getting his opportunity because he ended up going to the final. So that was, that's how you take the situation, be professional about it, just handle yours, keep it moving. So in the second round, I did a piece that was very dedicated to my bipolar symptoms, which I spoke on it in the poem. When it first came up to me and was presented to me at the very end of 2019, I was just like, okay, well, if I have bipolar, I have bipolar. And then I had a psychiatrist who I've continued to have for the past few years who is like, I don't really know if it's that. I don't really care what it's called, but let's address the various situations, energy, the mood, the focus. Like, let's figure out what we can do to fix that. And he has done so. So I spoke on some of that in this poem. What is interesting to me is, like, I don't have a problem sharing that story. So it's really trying to figure out in 2025, like, a definitive, maybe not the definitive, but something to just really touch on that. Cause I'll sprinkle something, speaking on it, mention it every now and then. I have one poem that so far is pretty, like, almost half of it mentions, at least a third or almost half of it kind of mentions the situation. But to really, like, dig deep and just bear that and share that story, and for the other person, for the next person who has it, for somebody else who hasn't, who's just looking for a release, the ability to live their truth. Like, I'm more than happy to provide that. So that is for sure a piece like that is on the way, or even if it's not just refining the one that I did. That one, I know, unfortunately, I didn't present it as well as the first one, but also I know what ended up kind of being my quote unquote downfall. And this is not Caleb's fault at all, because I remember catching it and then I forgot to bring it up, right? So the primary of the second category around was addiction, right? But then when you look at the flyer, it also said things like personal story. I should pull up the flyer. But personal story, or, just something along those lines. So it wasn't reserved for, like, this just needs to be an addiction poem. Like, it can be something along the lines of your own journey, your own challenge, things like that. So for me, again, blessed to be able to say personally, I don't have an addiction story. Didn't want to put anybody else's story out there. So I said, okay, well, since we're talking about people being brave and facing their demons, let me speak on the challenge that I have. And so I decided that's why I did a poem speaking on bipolar and bipolar symptoms, interactions with other people, how it's affecting my ability as far as my professional career, things like that. But again, when it was shared, how it was stated to the audience and to the judges, it just said this poem is on addiction. So I get up there, speak on what I'm speaking. I'm already kind of bar heavy, which a lot of times rooms are with it. These judges, they were very interesting with their scores. And then it didn't seem like it was on topic on what was just stated was the category. So again, when she said that and I was seated, I was like, I heard it. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll just go up there and correct it. And then I was first in the second round. And that time between seating and standing up on that stage, I completely forgot to bring that up. So here I am just going on and on about something that seemed like it was off topic. Score reflected that. It is what it is. But again, cannot stress enough, I wasn't going to that third round after that. One, because the style of what the other poets was doing was more better accepted. But also, I was one of, I don't want to say like 3-4 people that didn't have theirs memorized, and definitely people who had theirs memorized was able to present, probably would score better, which I feel like they deserved that, and also were the ones that were projecting and giving the histrionics that were appreciated. So yeah, that was more or less, that was my got. I shouldn't have got this round 2, but I did get to round 2. I'm happy I got to share both of them. What I will say about all three is I respect these poems And I'm pretty sure even if I do a little bit more editing or just as is, whatever this next book is, whenever that comes out, these all could be there. I'm also looking at them to see another opportunity to perform them. Like, so I'm okay. I'm happy with the writing that I was that it pushed me to speak on specific topics to hone just on those that I don't normally do. I really love what I came up with. Like, so that introduction poem, I somewhere in there, I spoke on the 5 senses, hear, touch, taste, smell, see. At school was a long time ago. And then I had different words or lines where I said sense 5 more times. And so then at the end of it, I said I gave y'all the 5 senses, plus I added in 5 more senses. And then since it was judged, I was like, so, but who's keeping score? Right. So that was probably one of my highlights. It was far from the last one that I thought of that I felt like was very clever writing. And what I love about the artists is they let me know, they like, look, judges was asleep. We hear you, you know what I mean? And salute to that. And I've always been a poet type situation. So, that felt good. And I appreciated that. There was even 1 or 2 people that followed me off of it. So it, it did something, right? And so for me, like, I've never been and never will be a competing poet, not competitive poet. I am a competitive poet, but not like I write for judged events. I don't care nothing about that. I write to stand out among the community. And I've succeeded on that and look to continue that for sure. So yeah, overall, like I said, it was good. Oh, first and foremost, above everything, was for a great cause. Second, it was a great event, great energy, good people to be around. So I'm glad I was there. And third, it was more another, reps and practice to get around some, to get share art in front of people. And it was good. I actually appreciate to get around a crowd where I wasn't the man. Just a quick little humble and a quick little motivation that no matter how far I am, I'm not done yet. So truly, that experience was great across the board for various reasons. Now, let's talk about the rest of the artistry. Fire across the board. Nobody was terrible, and a lot of people were great, excellent. Definitely just people I'm looking at and watching them have some of everything: the projection, the energy, the vulnerability, the bars, the lyricism, the storytelling. 7 to 10 in each category, but that total package was at a very elite level. So it was great to just be in that presence, be in that energy, be in that space. I mean, it was to the point that somebody that I probably felt like could have won didn't get out the first round. Like, that's the kind of talent we had. But also, we had some very peculiar judges. Caleb had told us that these aren't like, none of them are like slam judges. None of them are heavy in the poetry scene. These were individuals that are more with the brand of the business of that organization. So the recovery side or community people and all that. So I salute them for that. But the scoring was incredibly inconsistent. It would be one thing if it was like, okay, I can tell now what you're judging on, and okay, I feel like that's interesting, but at least this is what I'm seeing. But the score that I heard somebody get in the first round versus the score I heard somebody get for what I just heard 3 later, or the next round, or the finals, was very interesting. The pause, the forgetting a line, that wasn't penalized, but it seemed like the style was, you need to be very active and energetic with what you're presenting. But even that, it seemed like, okay, this person seemed to be up there with that person, but it didn't score. So, For the most part, I'll say for me, like I said, I can comfortably say I was not the best poet there, but people were neck and neck, and one person got a prize of $500 and the other person did not get that. Like, there needs to be more consistency in the judging. So I even feel like K-Love, alluded to like, okay, I see, I'll make that adjustment. But again, shout out to them for even being willing to do it. There's not like I was just at Slam, Charm City Slam in Baltimore, and these are high level poets, and the judges are in the scene, and they still had some very weird scoring going on there. So that's not like, I don't know if I'll ever judge a slam, because that's a lot of stress there, a lot of like I don't envy those who are assigning a actual score and a real competition with money on the line. Like, that just doesn't sound like something like I'd rather at that point present erotic poem. Legit. So yeah, but between that, like I said, regardless, we were blessed and spoiled from the standpoint of this job isn't easy for y'all, because there were a lot of very, very good pieces and poets that were up there. So it wasn't like there was a clear 6 and there wasn't a clear 3. The only thing at the last part is the person who ended up getting second place did slip up, but like even then it was still close. And had they not, I don't know who they would have, who was the clear. It wasn't no clear. It would have been up to those 3 people to decide what they felt at that time of voting. It may have been the last person that went was the one they just heard, and or whatever the case. So just what I can't stress enough is the talent level was amazing. The ability to convey the message based on the subject was excellent across the board, whether it was speaking on somebody else, speaking on their own personal situation, speaking just in general of the community. So shout out to everybody. The winner ended up being positive. I want to say out of the list, if I'm running through it real quick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 9 poets was people I was not familiar with at all. Out of everybody, Javon and Jasmine were the ones I knew the most, and then I seen him before, so enough to say like, oh, I know who that is. But like, again, us in this space, that was a lot of people that I was spending that time together with for the first time. But like I said, probably if I haven't already, I probably followed all of them. I'm gonna make sure to put their information on. Like, they all are worthy of taking a look, seeing what they do. Send them a follow if you feel so inclined. Book these poets if you feel so inclined. Share their information for the next person. These are all people doing their thing for the community, for the culture, and a lot of them are right here in the Be-More area. So definitely, they deserve their flowers for that. So I don't know. Is there anything? I mean, it's like, yeah, the talent was amazing. The judging was weird. I salute those who had all 3 of these memorized. I salute even the one who, even the slip up, like, that was somebody who was trying to get 3 poems off in about a month, maybe, if not less than that, right? So totally get grace from me, get impressed, my respect and all that for me. So salute to the ones that got 3 pieces down pat in a few weeks' time. Shout out to the content, everything about it. I appreciate the crowd that came through to support the situation, whether it was, supporting the organization, individuals who are currently on their path. Maybe they wanted to see poetry. Whatever the various reasons were, it was dope to see that venue, have the amount that it had. And again, if I'm not mistaken, it was raining. So that could have been anywhere in the world, and they chose to pull up for that. So really dope event. Shout out to K-Love. Shout out to Self-Determined Recovery. This was the very first event. And as far as very first events, there's definitely way worse. And that would insinuate that it was bad, which it was far from bad. It was an excellent event, and they're only gonna go up from there. And now that it's occurred, it's gonna be even more stiff competition, I imagine, for the poets who choose to participate. So that's gonna be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what year 2 looks like for it. And I hope, again, I know for sure it was just an amazing experience as an artist for just what does this mean for my growth? And I'm sure that the other artists can say the same as far as, new connections, as far as new critiques for themselves, the constructive criticism, like here's an area that I could tap into, here's where I can improve. This is how I could approach a situation like this going forward. So I would like to think that it was a lot of benefits that most, if not all of us, got from participating and experiencing this event. So definitely, yeah, shout out to the community, shout out Baltimore. It's a shame. It's a shame that people, it's a shame like this podcast and other people who might have shared the information is the reason that people are going to hear about it. Like, this is the type of story that should be on the news somewhere. This is the type of story that should get attention. This is the type of event that should be sponsored and things like that. But we know how the real world works, and it's really just up to people like us that are moving in directions like this to bring the attention, to generate the energy in this direction. You can only do so much of the complaining about what isn't, and that's pretty much it seemed like what self-determined recovery is on, is being a solution that they saw was missing in general. So overall, again, self-determined recovery, K-Love the poet, all the poets who performed, shout out to the crowd, shout out to the judges with that very not easy job that I would never do, so I'm not on y'all too hard about it. And just shout out to Baltimore. Shout out to La Familia Soundstage. DJ Focus, my dog, he stays busy. That man, if Baltimore has an event and they need something, it look like they're thinking of him or looking at him first, and as they should. Super talented. That's a frat and all that, but more so that's just a talented individual in his craft, and it's dope to see him continue to get his flowers, his bookings, his opportunities, and on all that. And I hope he continues to get that look and those looks. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I appreciate those who was listening. I appreciate that I was able to experience that. It's fun to give that quick recap just now, and I'm looking forward to more events, more days, more experiences like that. So thank you all for tuning into another episode of the Smart Dumb Podcast. Until next time, be safe, be blessed, and y'all take it easy.